Good evening, everyone. This is Robert Jamieson. Welcome to our online chess lesson for Thursday, the 30th of October. Today I'm in a new venue. I'm actually at our new chess centre called Kids Unlimited in Mount Waverley. So I hope the internet is good here and is going to hold out for the course of the lesson. Now, on Sunday, we had our RJ Shield in Carnegie, which was quite a good event. I think we had over 70 players. And we had a section of the top 8 players, which we called the Master section for the first time, which seemed to work well. And I went around, got a few games on my pad, but I saw some really horrible endings. Some players who I thought would have known endgame theory fairly well didn't do so well in practice. So I thought today we'd have a lesson on endgame theory, and I'll show you some examples from the RJ Shield, hopefully. Okay, now the first question is, what is endgame theory? Can anyone suggest an answer? Type in the question box what your idea of endgame theory is. You probably know opening theory, where you book up on different opening moves, but what's endgame theory? I might have a chat to Sean, Callum, see if he can help me. Can you hear me, Callum?
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Now, you were there on Sunday, weren't you? You did quite well.
Yeah.
Excellent. Can you remember, did you come second or third or something? Can you remember where you came?
I came second overall in over 10s.
Okay.
But I came first in under 12s.
Okay, that's very good. I think Maha was there as well, so at least two of you were playing, which was excellent. Now, if I said to you, what is endgame theory? What do you think it might be?
Well, I don't really know.
Okay. All right, well, let's use an example. So on the screen, I have a king, a bishop, and a knight versus a king. So do you know anything about this sort of position in general? Or you've never seen it before, you know nothing, you don't know whether it's a win or a draw, or...
I've seen it. It's possible to do a knight bishop checkmate.
Okay. All right, so if we're looking at an endgame, so we're just walking past the board and there's an endgame in front of us, what's generally the first question we ask ourselves?
Is there pawns on the board?
No. So you're just looking at a position, so you're thinking to yourself, what are you thinking?
What is the material like?
More general, I would be thinking, who's winning? Is it a win? Is it a draw? Wouldn't that be the first question you'd ask yourself? Like if it was a fairly even game, like you say you rocked up and you saw this position, you'd say, "Ooh, I think this is a win for white, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's a draw." So endgame theory is basically telling us what positions are wins, what positions are draws, and the different techniques we can have to achieve the right result. So let's test everyone. So Oscar said strategies in the endgame was his idea of endgame theory. That's pretty close. Okay, so Callum, your knowledge of endgame theory about this position, you say it's a win for white. Is that right?
Yeah, it's pretty possible.
Yes, all right. That's the first thing we need to know. So bishop and knight is a win with best play, though it's a difficult win. I think it takes around 30 to 35 moves. There's a real pain. Fortunately, I've never had a game where I've had to do it, so I haven't paid too much attention, but I know that bishop and knight should beat a lone king. Now, question for everyone. Does anyone know any other theory about this position, bishop and knight versus king? So we know it's meant to be a win, but how do we get the win? Does anyone know any endgame theory about how we'd get the win? If you do, type in the question box. I'm thinking you probably don't, but maybe there's someone out there who studied their endgames hard. Oliver's saying trap him in the corner. What do you think, Callum? Is that endgame theory? Trap him in the corner. Passendor's agreeing.
Yeah, it's a pretty good. It's a pretty good strategy.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah. Well,
good. Much goes in the strategy.
yeah. Well, you can't checkmate him in the middle, so you've got to chase him to the side, and it's pretty hard to checkmate on the side. If you can get him in the corner, then you'll probably get a checkmate. Maha has gone one better. Well done, Maha. Callum, so let me test you. So if you wanted to checkmate the Black King, would you chase him to A8 or would you chase him to H8? Which square would be the best
H8.
one? Why do you choose H8?
Because the bishop's a dark square bishop and the king's on a dark square.
Yes, exactly right. So the second bit of endgame theory we need to know about this is we need to chase him to the corner that's the same colour as our bishop. So if black were trying to draw, he'd rush like crazy over to A8 and then hope it's going to take you forever to chase him either to A1 or to H8. Right, cool. Okay, that was quite easy. All right, thanks for your help with that, Callum. I'll move on, give someone else a go. Let me see. See if I can get the right diagram up here. Right, here we go. Now, who can we talk to? Let's talk to Ethan. He's next on the list. You there, Ethan? Hello, Ethan. Say something. Not talking? All right, Ethan's not talking. We'll go down to Nathan. Nathan, can you hear me?
Oh, you've got 9 the car.
Nathan's obviously busy. All right, we'll try Oliver. Oliver, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oliver. Yes, at last. Someone who's not talking. Right. Did you know about bishop and knight checkmate? Did you know any theory about that?
I haven't. I've never played it.
Did you know it's meant to be a win?
No. I was thinking it might be a draw.
Yeah, all right. So now you know it's meant to be a win, and now you know the second piece, which corner to chase him into. Now, as I was walking around the RJ Shield, one of my students, Sean Zillman, managed to get himself to black in this position. So how do you reckon he's going, Oliver? Is he winning, losing, drawing?
I reckon he might be winning.
As black, he's only got one rook. He's black. White's got the 2 pawns. So the question is, can white get a win or is it a draw? What do you think?
Yeah, I reckon it might be a draw.
A draw. All right, everyone, see if you can help him. We'll test your knowledge of theory. Type in the question box whether you reckon black can get a draw or whether you reckon it's going to be a win for white. Because I was staring at it and I wasn't quite sure. So Callum's going with a draw. Oliver's said draw. Passendor thinks it's a win. Maha thinks it's a win. Oscar thinks it's a win. So most are going for win. Normally 2 pawns up would be a win, but maybe black can snaffle one of the pawns. All right. So I thought this was really interesting, and I stared at it for some time, and I had to think of 4 different pieces of endgame theory that could be relevant to this position. So the question is, does black, say white moves his king somewhere? Hang on, I'll get in the right mode. White moves his king somewhere. All right, does black go and take that G pawn and then we have a king and pawn ending, or does he leave the rooks on? So let's say we get rid of the rooks. Bye-bye rooks, bye-bye pawn. And let's say black got his king in front of the pawn. So first test for everyone. If it's this position, black's move, is it a draw or is it a win for white? What move would black make? Callum saying draw, Maha saying draw, Waifu saying draw, Passendor saying draw. What do you reckon, Oliver? Is it a draw or can white win? Selwyn saying win.
I think it might be a win for white.
A win for white. Okay. Most people are saying draw. All right. This is a really basic position. Just one king each and a pawn. White has a pawn. Is it a win? Is it a draw? So you guys should have this in your memory bank. And the answer is it's a draw. But black has to make the right move here. What move would you make if you were black here, Oliver?
Maybe King E8.
King E8. All right. Why did you choose E8? Is it just a guess, or you know that that's the best one, or what?
It was either E8 or F8.
Okay.
I didn't really think G8 would be good because if if we go G8, if it's the wrong move, then he could just go up, get a queen. Then I'm like trapped.
Okay. All right. Well, E8 and G8 are exactly the same as it turns out. They're a mirror image of each other. There is one drawing move. So everyone put this in your memory bank. Oscar's screaming it at me. The king has to go straight back to F8. If your king's in front of the pawn, you have to go back. So let's see what happens then. White's king comes up. You block the king. And the only way white can make progress is to push the pawn. We go in front. And now white's got to stalemate us. So we get our draw. If we had have gone instead E8, as Oscar was saying, to the side, white goes king up, king in front, pawn up, and you can see the difference. It's not white's move, it's black's move. So black has to get out of the way. White's king can come up and escort the pawn through. Okay, so Oscar, Oliver rather, you were wrong. You put it in your memory bank now. The king must go straight back and you get a draw. You got that?
Yes.
All right, excellent. Because that happens a lot. So make certain you remember that. All right, thanks, Oliver. I'll move on for the second bit of theory. So that was the first bit of theory we need. That the king in front of the pawn, maybe we can get a draw. Let's try Passendal. You there, Passendal?
Yep.
Okie dokie. All right. Let's try you with my second bit of theory. Now, this is a puzzle sometimes I give my students. And this is the starting position where white's pawn's on F2 with his king on F1 and black's king's miles away on F8. So very similar to the position we just had, except now there's a lot of space between the black king and the pawn. So I ask my students, is this position with best play, white to play, is it a win for white or is it a draw? So you guys type in what you reckon. Is this going to be a theoretical draw, just like the previous position, or can white now win this one? So Waifu's saying it's a win, Maha's saying it's a draw. Waifu's saying it's a win again. Oliver likes a draw. Nathan saying a win. Passendal saying a draw. Ethan saying a draw. Selwyn draw. Oscar. Okay. Passendal, you reckon it's a draw?
Yep.
All right. So we have some people disagreeing with you, though. Some people are saying it's a win. All right. I'll play white, and you see if you can get a draw against me. Okay, here I go. I'm going to go king e2. What move would you like to do?
King e7.
Okay, I'll go king e3.
King e6.
All right, I'll go king e4.
King f6.
All right, king f4 for me.
King e6.
Okay, I'll go to g5.
King f7.
Okay, I'll go to f5.
King f8.
Okay, I'll go to f6.
King E8.
I'll go F4.
King F8.
I'll go F5.
King E8.
King G7. What's happened? Who's won?
White.
White's won. Yes. Okay. So, in fact, it is a win for white. So put in your memory bank, if you either get this position with lots of squares between the kings, you don't move your pawn forward, because then we get the position we had last time. You move your king in front of the pawn. You try and get the opposition and push the other king away and escort your pawn through. All right. You reckon you've got that, Passendel? You understand that?
Yep.
All right, cool. Thanks. I'll move on and give someone else a go. I'll go down to Waifu. You there, Waifu?
Yep.
Okay, so we've got two bits of theory now. We've got king and pawn, one where our king's in front of the pawn, and the second one where the other king can move in front of the pawn and clear us out of the way. Now, there's another bit of theory we need for this position, because black could go, say, and take the pawn, and white could say, well, hang on, I'm not going to swap rooks and have a king and pawn ending. I'm going to keep the rook on. So we'd have a position with king and f-pawn and a rook versus a king and a rook. So let me set up a position we might get to. I'll put my king on f8. I'll give white a good spot for his rook on a7. I'll put my rook, where will I put my rook? I'll put my rook on b1. And I'll move white's king up and his pawn up. All right. Does that position come up on your board now, Waifu, with pawn on f5 and king on g5 and everything? Okay. So I'm going to test everyone's theory of rook and pawn endings. So I want you guys, it's black's go. Is this position going to be a draw, or is it going to be a win for white? So I want you to type in the question box your knowledge of endgame theory. Is this a draw with best play or a win? So Waifu's going draw, Selwyn's going draw, Nathan Callum draw, Oliver's going win, Maha's going win, Oscar's going draw. So we got draws are winning so far. We've only had two say win. All right, Waifu, Passendel's going win. So you reckon it's a draw, do you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you know what's the drawing method then? What endgame theory have you got to work out a drawing method? What would you move in this position?
Rook B6.
Rook to b6. Okay. And why is this a draw? What's your idea going to be?
Because the king can't move up to try and
Yep. All right.
make
So
me.
what if I move the pawn up?
I go rook B1.
Okay. And if I move my king up, threatening checkmate, what would you do then?
Rook D1 check.
Exactly right. Very good. Okay, let's go back to the original position, because I saw this or a similar position in Daniel Pobb's game. Daniel Pobb had the rook, and his opponent had the rook and the pawn. And Daniel Pobb attended our endgame camp not so long ago, so I thought surely he would remember this. Do you know what the defence is called, Waifu?
Bellator.
No, it's called the third rank defence. So if you've got to remember two things about rook and pawn endings, or rook endings. One is you want active rook. The second thing you must remember is the third rank defence, because so many times it comes down to rook and one pawn against a rook, and you can save lots of half points if you know what to do. So it's exactly what you said. You put your rook on your third rank so that his king can't come forwards, and as soon as his pawn pushes up, that means the king can't hide anywhere. You hoon down to the back, and then your rook from a distance can just keep checking the poor old white king, and he can't make any progress. I think Daniel still managed to get a draw, but he didn't use the correct defence. All right, so everyone, very important, put that in your memory bank. It's called the third rank defense. Okay, thanks, waifu. Let's go back again to the start. Who will I try? Selwyn? Is it Selwyn? Hello? Talk to me, Selwyn. Can hear lots of noise but not talking. Are you there? Nope. All right. Selwyn's knocking over all the furniture trying to get to the microphone, I think. All right. Who can I try? I'll try Nathan again. Nathan Azelman. Can you hear me? Talk to me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, excellent. How are you tonight?
Good, thank you.
Good. Did you know all that third rank defense or not? Was that new to you?
I didn't know it, but I suspected that it would be a draw.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Very important. So put that in your memory bank. So that's 3 pieces of endgame theory that might help us solve this puzzle. But there's one additional piece of theory, our number 4. So let me take off the pawn, and I'll actually take off the rook and the king for the moment. Oh, what's all that noise? You right?
Yeah, this guy just quit. Yeah,
all right. All right. So let's say, well, going back to the other position, black's king didn't really count because it had to stay by the G pawn, and white's rook didn't really count because it had to keep protecting the G pawn. So it could boil down to a battle between our rook and white's king and pawn. So the question is, can white's king and pawn advance against a lone rook and get up to the 7th and get a queen, or can the rook stop them? So let's ask everyone. We'll compare notes. So everyone, endgame theory, can the king escort the pawn forwards right up to the 7th rank and even the 8th rank maybe, or can the rook hold them at bay? So Callum's saying no, the pawn can't get through. Nathan's saying yes. Waifu's saying the rook win. Well, the rook doesn't win, waifu. It's a question whether the rook can hold the pawn back. Passendor's saying no, it can't. Nathan's saying yes, it can. Oh, it's all over the shop. So what do you reckon, Nathan? Can the rook hold the pawn and king at bay, or does the king and the pawn get through?
I think the king and the pawn will get through.
All right. You have a go. So you can be white. You start moving your king somewhere and we'll see how we go.
I go king e2.
E2. All right. I'll give you a check.
King f3.
F3. All right. I'll check you again.
King g3.
G3. All right. I'll check you again.
King h3.
All right. I'll attack your pawn.
King g4. Oh, no. I'm king g3.
Okay. I'll check you again.
This isn't going to work.
This isn't working, is it? This isn't working.
No.
All right.
No,
not at all. All right. So the rook, if the rook is far enough away, remember my saying, rooks operate best from a distance. The rook in front of the pawn can hold the king and pawn at bay. So the secret is when white's king goes back to f1, you don't say like play rook e8 because he could then play pawn f3 and he's making progress. You put your rook on the same file as the pawn so that the pawn can't move forwards, and if the king moves, we just keep checking it like we just did. Okay. Yeah. All right, so now we've got 4 pieces of information that may help us decide whether this is going to be a draw or a win for white. Okay, so let's start off. Let's say white goes king e3. What move would you do now? You can be black.
King e3, I would go...
What move do you want to make?
I'd go king g6.
King to G6. Hang on. Pawn equals queen check. It's not a very good move.
Oh, I thought we were going the other direction.
No, pawn's going up the board. White always goes up the board. All right,
Oh,
so
then I would go.
Yes, what would you do?
Then I'd go King G8.
King G8. Okay. What if I play pawn to F4? So you've let my pawn come forwards now. Is that good for you or not?
No, I need to keep on checking, so I check.
Yes. So think what we just did. So instead of King to G8, what move are you going to do?
Check on E6.
Check on E6. All right, I'll go to F3.
Check on F6.
Cool. I'll go to E2.
Check on E6.
Okay, I'm going to hide back on F1. Your go.
A6.
Rook 2.
A6. To check down on A1.
A for apple 6, you're going over the side.
Yeah. To check on A1. Oh, then
But isn't my pawn coming forwards now? And then my king's going to come up and help. Now think about the theory we just looked at with the rook and the king and the pawn. Where can you go?
F6.
Yes. So just like we did. So now my poor king can't come out because you're going to keep checking me.
Yeah.
So the question is, does this idea, this theory of the rook defending in front of the pawn, does that get us a draw? Or has white got a way he can improve his position here? So you guys, if you were white, we know black's plan. If our king's coming out, he's just going to keep checking us. Has white got a move that can help him get his king out? So what move would you play for white here? Type in the question box. An idea for white. Passendor's going rook d3. If you do that, I'm taking a g-pawn, Passendor. Thanks for the pawn. And Passendor's now trying rook d7. The rook is on d7. It can't move to the same square. Maha's got the right move. Well done, Maha. Passendor's now got the right move. Anyone else? Pawn to g8 from Oliver. I just take it. Nathan, can you see an idea for white? Ethan's now seen it as well.
I think if white can get onto the F file, then it can guide the pawn around.
Right, but he can't because my rook's there. So white wants to get his king out, doesn't he, to help the pawn move forwards? Yeah. That's what he's trying to do?
Yeah.
But the problem is, if I go to E2, you're going to check me on E6. So is there a way I can stop that happening?
If I go to rook E7 first.
Yes, exactly right. Rook E7. Okay. Now you can get your king out. So what can I do as black?
I don't know, I think there's a way of countering unless you want to lose your rook.
Well, we can't stop you now. You're going to play king e2 and move the pawn. So I think we've got to go and grab that g-pawn. So let's see what happens. Rook g6. What do you want to do for white? E2?
King e2, yeah.
All right, I'm going to take the pawn. Do you want to take me?
No. Yes, I do.
Yes, you do. All right, you take, I take. Your go.
I think the rule is if you go behind the king, you win. So behind the pawn, so...
In front of the pawn, you mean?
Yeah, in front of the pawn.
F3. Yes. So king f6, king f4. And we've got the position we had in our second bit of theory, which is a win for white, because our king is going to push the black pawn away.
Yeah.
Right, all right. So it looks like black's in trouble, because rook e7 is going to be a win. All right, so we need an idea. What could black do to try and stop that idea?
They're gonna have to stop the exchange, so I don't think they can go for the pawn, unless they're really lucky.
Okay, so what move could black try Oh, hang on. Is it black's go or is white's go? It's black's go. It's black's go. Yes. White just played king f1, I think.
So black could go to e6.
Yes. So rook e6. So that's stopping the white rook seizing the file. All right. Let's see what happens now. So if my king comes up, you just check me. It's the same as before. All right. So I'll play pawn to f3.
Pawn to f3.
Yep. What are you going to do for black now?
I'm gonna move down to. Oh no. Well, if I go to f6, you'll just play king. F2.
I'll just play king up. Yeah, and then I'll do the same thing again, and I'm moving up with my king and pawn.
So I have to stop you from moving up.
Or you can go to g6 again and try and take the pawn. Shall we try that one?
Yeah, but that'll end up in exchange and a win for black.
Let's just check because it's a little bit different before. So g6 because the pawn's moved up a square. King up.
Okay, yeah.
All right, you take the pawn. I take. You take back. I go up. You go up. I go up. It looks like it's still a win because black still has to step aside. White has the opposition.
Yeah, so you can...
Right. All right. So we're in a pickle. So we've tried leaving our rook on f6. We've tried on e6. Anyone else have an idea for black? What can black do? Type in the question box another idea for black. He's got one last chance because we're threatening rook e7. So he's got to do something pretty drastic. Oliver's saying rook e8. That's illegal, Oliver. It's on the F file. Callum's saying king g8, but then we're going to play rook e7 and do the same as before. Oliver's saying rook f2, which just loses a rook. Nathan, any idea? What haven't we tried?
I just tried to type it in. Rook f3.
Well, that would just help us move the king forward. We just play king up and move the pawn up. Right, let's try rook g6 straight away. All right, you play white and I'll play black. We'll see if it makes any difference.
Yeah. So I'll push for king e.
Oh no, actually, hang on. We've done that, haven't we? All right. No, let me try. Have we done that one? Rook g6, king up, takes, king up. No, that's a loss, isn't it? Right. Let's say we sit here, king g8, rook e7, rook g6. It's not going to make any difference, is it? King up takes. We're in a pickle.
Yeah, still got to be.
Yeah. I think we're up the creek. So,
your voice is a
bit echoey or something, is it? Or maybe the internet's playing up. Hopefully it'll come good. All right. So it looks like we've found that it should be a win for white. So we've used those 4 bits of theory. So we looked at king and pawn with king in front of the pawn, king and pawn with the white king pushing out of the way. We looked at keeping the rooks on, but then black has a third rank defence. And we looked at trying to defend in front of the pawn, but it looks like they played rook e7 to stop us doing that, and it should be a win. Right, so that's how we use our knowledge of theory. Okay, what should happen? All right, thanks, Nathan. I'll move on and give someone else a go. Now let me show you what actually happened. If I can move on, here we are. Now we need to go to 64. Right. Okay. So this is the starting position, and this is my student Sean playing black. Let's see what happened. So white king to g3, rook g6 check, white back, Sean went back. White moved his king up. Sean moved his king up. White moved his king to h4. Now, we didn't try this. What should black do here? Can you help Sean to get a draw? If you were black in this type in the question box what move you would play for black here to try and get a draw. Because unfortunately Sean didn't play the best moves, I must admit. But he does have a good move here. Anyone? Black to play? How can he get a draw? Think about the techniques we've just been using. Oliver's going rook check, not rook check Oliver. Waifu's going rook f6. Callum's going rook takes pawn. I've got three different moves then. Rook check, rook f6, rook takes pawn. Okay, let's have a look. So if he was to play rook h6, our king comes up, and now our rook can't get back to f6, and our pawn's going to start moving. So rook h6 is no good. Rook takes pawn. Rook takes rook, king takes rook, king g5. Again, white's got his king in front of the pawn. He's going to clear the way. So the only one who got the correct answer was Waifu. Sean should have played rook f6, hitting the pawn, because now the king has to go back to defend the pawn, and we can start doing the checking thing again. So he should have played rook f6. He didn't do that. Let's see what terrible thing happened. He went king back. King came up. Now that's a horrible move because, again, we can play rook f6, but he didn't go to f6. He went to g2. White starts moving his pawn forwards now. King up. Pawn up again. Rook takes pawn. Now, what's happening? Is it a draw? Is it a win? People, what do you think? Type in the question box. Remember earlier what we did in the lesson. Is it now a draw? Maha's saying she's not able to hear. Callum's saying a white win. Nathan's saying it's a draw. Waifu's saying a white win. Selwyn's saying a white win. It's black's move. Black's move. Oscar's asking me whose move it is. Oliver's saying draw. Ethan's saying draw. Yes, all right. So some of you got it right, some of you got it wrong. Think back. Is black's king in front of the pawn, or is white able to clear a path? Black's king is in front of the pawn, so it's exactly the same puzzle we had, the very first bit of endgame theory we looked at. It's a book draw, but black has to know he plays king to f8. So I'm standing there behind Sean saying, you beauty, he knows it. It's king f8, but white doesn't offer a draw. He plays around a little bit. And now you'll never believe what happened. Poor old Sean, he went king e8. He got confused and he lost. So he was one move away from the draw. Had he understood theory to play king f8, he would have got a draw. All right, let's talk to Maha. Maha, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah, all right, that's better. Okay, let's see if we can move on now. Hang on to your game. Because you had an interesting ending as well against Sean. Here we are, and we want to go to move 49. Okay, and hide the moves. Do you remember your game with Sean? Maha?
Yes, the game I mucked up.
Yes. All right.
Yes, I do remember the game I mucked up.
All right. So you're black. So you've just taken his rook on c5. Now Sean, he's got a choice. Let's have a look. So he can either take the rook on a3 or he can take the rook on c5. Everyone type in for me, which one do you reckon he should take? Should he take the a rook or should he take the c rook? So Passendor's reckoning C, Callum's going C, Oliver's going A, Ethan C, Selwyn A, Oscar C. So C's winning at the moment. Ethan C. What do you reckon, Maha? Take the C rook or the A rook?
As you showed me the day before, either rook, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter,
Yeah,
but
the C rook would be better.
why would the C rook be better? Can you tell me why the C rook's better?
If you take the C rook, you're more nearer to the pawn.
Yes, because White's drawing plan, so endgame theory, so you've got a pass pawn, and even better, your king is right next to the pawn helping it. So where does White want to get his king?
Next to the pawn, in front of the pawn.
Yeah, so White wants to take one of these rooks, and then his king is going to hoon and try and get in front of the pawn, and maybe we could even use that third-rank defence to get a draw. So I reckon I'd take the C rook because my king's closer to the pawn, but poor old Sean took the A rook. Okay. So, Maha, you have a winning position. All you've got to do is know how to win it. So we'll see if the audience can help you with their knowledge of endgame theory. What would be a good move for Maha here to help her win the game? Because she's got her king in a good spot and Sean's king's way off to the side, not helping. So what move would you play for black? So waifu's going king f4. Callum's going king f5. Selwyn's now going rook b5. Oscar's going king d3. Passendor king d3. What do you reckon, Maha? Any of them a good move?
King b4 would be good.
King b4. Hang on, that's illegal. What?
Oh, sorry, I meant king f4.
King f4. Okay.
King e3 would also be fine.
Okay. Yes. Now let's just for a second rip the rook and the king off the board. So can your king and pawn make progress against just the white rook? We had a look before where the rook was in front of the pawn, but this is beside the pawn. So you play black and we'll see how we go. Your move. What do you want to do?
King d4.
All right. I'll give you a check.
King e3.
All right. I'll go behind your pawn.
Push the pawn.
Push the pawn. I'll go to the 8th.
King f3.
All right. I'll give you a check.
e2. King e3.
All right. Behind the pawn.
Push the pawn.
Push the pawn. All right. I'll go to e7.
King f2.
I'll give you a check.
King e1.
I'll go behind the pawn.
Push the pawn.
All right. So your king has helped the pawn get all the way to the 7th. Can you make it into a queen or not? With just the king helping.
Can't make it into
You can't because the king's got nowhere to hide. I can keep checking you, or if you go away, I get behind the pawn. All right. Very good. So that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get the pawn to the 7th, and then the rook's going to help you hide from my checks. So king d3 is probably a pretty good move. And then like if I check you, you can do what we just did. You can go king e3 and start moving the pawns forward. But probably an even better move, I think Selwyn was the only one who said it, rook b5. Now, why would that be a good move, Maha?
It keeps the king on the edge.
Yes, it keeps White's king right out of it. His king's stuck on the A file. I mean, he can attack the rook, but then you can run away. So now White's king got no hope of getting anywhere near the pawn, and your king can just march up to the 7th with the pawn, and then at the critical moment, your rook's going to come in, probably go to d2 or something to give the king a hidey hole, and you win easily. Right, so rook b5, cutting off the king would be good. But none of this happened, did it, Maha? You did something different. Yeah, you went king f4, so that's okay. He attacked your rook, so we've let his king get out a bit. You went rook c1, so that's good. You've got his king cut off on the b file. He went check. What should you do now?
King e3.
Right, but you went to e4, blocking the pawn. He went behind. Now what should you do now?
King f4.
Yeah, you should go king f4, and when he checks, you go to e3, like we just did, and escort the pawn through. But you didn't understand what you were trying to do, or you came up with a bad idea? What do you remember what you did?
Yes, I think I went to d3 or something.
Your rook ran all the way to g1, so you let white's king come closer. Now, you could have repaired it and gone back and checked him back. He should have gone to c3. But then your rook went back and defended the pawn. And what does that let white do now?
Get the king in front of the pawn.
Or get the king closer. It goes to c3. So now you want to move your king. Where do you reckon you should put the king?
e3.
e3 to keep the white king out. But you went off to f3 and let his king into d2. So now it's getting a bit of a problem. You push the pawn, which was a bad move because now he can check. When your king goes back, his king goes up. Your rook defends the pawn. He checks, and we have a draw. So that was a pity. You had a theoretical win, but you only got a draw. So why do you reckon you didn't win it?
Because I didn't know the tricks to winning it.
Yeah, you didn't understand the endgame theory. So this is the whole point of today's lesson. You guys should be studying endgames, so you need to know not only what endgames are a win and what are a draw, but the techniques you need to use to get the best result for you. So like now you understand perhaps cutting off the other guy's king so he can't get in front of the pawn is a good technique. And you understand how your king can help the pawn move forwards. Now you can use that technique. And hopefully you guys have remembered the third rank defense with a rook and pawn against a rook, and also the key one of king and pawn against king, where your king is in front of the pawn and you go back to f8, not to e8 or g8, and then you'd lose like poor Sean did. So endgame is very important, and it's much more important to study endings than openings and things like that because of the reasons we've looked at today. Callum has been screaming at me to show his game. I'm not sure I got Callum's game down. If I did, we can have a look at it next week, but our time's up for this week. So I hope you guys know a little bit more about endgame theory now, and are perhaps inspired to go and get a book on endgames and study up on it. All right. We've got an exciting time coming up with the Vic Youth Championships over the next few weekends. So those of you who are in Melbourne, I hope you're all going to play in that. And I might be able to get some of your games and use them for our lessons over the next few weeks. Anyway, thank you all for today's lesson, and I'll look forward to catching you all next week. But good night.